Good evening, A2D family. As you can see, we have special guest Greg Pryor, 1985 World Series champion. Of course, we have myself, Rob Brinkman. We have Brad Ryer. We have Frank Vesby producing the show as usual. We're talking baseball tonight. If you're looking for us to crush Doug Peterson and the Eagles and for a tie yesterday, Brad, I'm sure you have some things to get off your chest in terms of the Giants getting absolutely smashed by a depleted San Francisco Niners football team. We got
Get me started.
We have a huge game on Monday Night Football. The Chiefs and the Ravens, two franchises that have things figured out, unlike the Giants and the Eagles. The NBA Finals is set. We might have a Stanley Cup champion in just a few hours.
I gotta say something about that, Rob. If the guy who controls the fan voices and everything,
Yes,
if the Stanley Cup is won tonight, I want to make sure that they make sure Bettman gets booed when he hands out the Stanley Cup, because that's tradition.
Okay.
If they don't do that, then it doesn't count as a real Stanley Cup.
Well, the Tampa Bay Lightning, I know they're up and they're probably going to win the Stanley Cup, but they touched the Eastern Conference trophy.
Oh, that doesn't mean anything.
Like idiots.
I'll tell you what got me a little annoyed was the fake penalty on Dallas the other night, and then Tampa Bay scored the winning goal at overtime. That was terrible. But
anyway, we have a baseball show lined up for you. The playoffs start tomorrow night, American League, National League. We have Greg Pryor breaking it down, talking some baseball. As always, we are live on Facebook, Periscope, Instagram, YouTube. If you've missed any of the live content here on A2D Radio, stream us in podcast form, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes. The takeover is real. A2D Radio is everywhere. Fastest growing sports media company in the country. Check the numbers. If I'm lying, I'm dying, folks. Our great sponsors that make the Sports Hounds possible every Monday. Check out our doc, Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy, 3 convenient locations in Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton. Like I said, he's our doc. Make him yours too. Also, check out the gutter and roof guys at Ambuck Services. They are the gutter and roof experts of South Jersey, 856-879-5530. Tell them the Sports Hound sent you. 1985 World Series champion. He's been a guest before. He was absolutely terrific. We decided to have him back on the eve of the MLB Playoffs. Greg Pryor, how you doing tonight, sir?
Rob, Brad, Frank, it's great to be back in the clubhouse with you guys. I miss baseball, but every time I come back with you guys, I feel like I'm closer to the game. So thanks for inviting me back.
Oh, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
You got some things going on, Greg, outside of baseball.
Let me go ahead and tell you what I think about what's going on here.
Okay, go ahead.
When I played, I worked out all winter to get ready to go to spring training. And then in spring training, it was 5 weeks of games that didn't mean anything, really. You were trying to make a minor league team or you're trying to make the big league team. It seems like Major League Baseball has been in spring training the whole season in a way, and I think I honor those guys for what they have gone through to get back on the field, even though it's not real baseball, because wearing a mask in the dugout, it's not real baseball. But imagine, I played 7 years without playing in front of people in the minor leagues. These guys have done it all season long. People ask me, Greg, could you play when nobody was in the stands? I said, yeah, I did it for 7 years in the minor leagues. So anyway, maybe next year we'll get back to normal. But this year, I'm glad that there's been a lot of excitement in baseball about younger guys that are coming in and competing, and it's going to be interesting to see about the playoffs and how they win or lose.
Now we have our poll question. Our poll question is brought to you by Philly Drinkers. Get your A2D merchandise, phillydrinkers.com. Click on the A2D radio collection. All kinds of new stuff out, new fall line out. We got this hat. We got this QB Factory shirt. We got blankets. We got tumblers. Anything you could possibly think of, they have it at phillydrinkers.com. We need your support. The movement needs to continue to grow, and the only way the A2D movement will continue to grow is if you go on phillydrinkers.com, buy our merchandise, and sing A2D Radio's praises loud and proud. So that's PhillyDrinkers.com, A2D Radio collection. So, Greg, we have our poll question. Obviously, the Phillies, it didn't really work out, and I would like to get some of your thoughts later on when we move on to the National League on what you think of the Phillies, what the national perception is of the Phillies. But right now, we got Brad's Yankees. They're getting ready to take on the Cleveland Indians. 3 games in Cleveland. That's our poll question. The Yankees are going to defeat the Indians, and I got to tell you, I kind of like the Indians in this spot. Obviously, this is an AL Central team. You're still Pryor. You're still pretty close with the Kansas City Royals organization, so you're familiar with the Cleveland Indians. Can they beat the Yankees, or do you see the Yankees moving on?
Well, I'm a former Yankee. I was with them in '77 for a season, not in the big leagues, but in AAA. And Cleveland was my favorite team when I was a kid. I grew up in Akron. Rocky Calavita was my favorite player. I've always been a Cleveland fan. And I used a Mickey Mantle bat in Little League when I was growing up. So I'm kind of torn about who I really would like to see advance. But I think that 3-game homestand that the Indians are going to have might be the difference in this, because, obviously it'd be nobody in the stands to have any benefit for Cleveland. But I think Cleveland has a history of winning, but it wouldn't surprise me. That's a toss-up. I tell you what, it's a toss-up. Either team wins, it won't surprise me.
Won't surprise me either. I mean, I think Cleveland might win the series. I mean, I think they have the best pitcher in the series, the best hitter in the series, and the best relief pitcher in the series. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, Ramirez right now is on an unbelievable streak. What his last 11 hits been seven doubles and 4 home runs.
Yeah, he started kind of slow, It took him a while to get going, but boy, he's been hot lately.
He did the same thing last year, and between him and then Bieber, of course, who's going to probably win the Cy Young, and that guy who's done nothing but strike everybody out. I can't remember his name. It starts with a K. I just can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I think the guy struck out 30 out of 50 right-handed hitters this year.
Oh yeah,
something crazy like he's better than Hand.
Yeah,
thank
goodness they're gonna play 9-inning games. I'm glad it's not 7 innings.
But I think the Yankees are going to – I mean, you have to look at it this way. The Yankees shocked Cleveland 3 years ago. I don't think anybody thought the Yankees would beat Cleveland that year in 17. I mean, I thought the Indians were a better team than the Yankees that year, and the Yankees found a way to win. It wouldn't shock me if Cleveland returned the favor.
It's so funny being out of baseball like I've been. I kind of follow baseball through the fans now more so than reading the newspaper or looking at news online. And I see Yankees comments. I see some Yankee Facebook posts, and the Yankees could win by like 3 runs, and the Yankee fans would still be griping about something. I mean, they're hard fans to please. Man, they wanted to get rid of Boone like 3 weeks ago. They wanted
that would be me. But I can tell you, it's my problem with Boone is not from 3 weeks ago. My problem with Boone goes back to 2018 when he wasn't paying attention and Severino didn't warm up in the bullpen against the Red Sox in Game 3 at Yankee Stadium, and then last year in Game 6 in the playoffs against the Astros, you have runners on second and third, and Altuve's up, and Jake Marisnick is on deck. Why are we pitching to Altuve?
Yeah, well,
the illustrious Mr. Boone. That's why I don't like Boone, and that's why I want him out. I don't forgive over stupid stuff like that.
Well, he survived so far. Let's see what happens. That'll be a great series, I'm sure.
I just want to. Do you think that he might be in the hot seat if they lose in the first round?
Oh, sure, of course. Yeah, he's had enough time. He needs to get him in the World Series.
Yeah, I would think so.
Going back when I played, Dick Kowser won 103 games for the Yankees in 1980 and got fired.
Yeah, but George was deranged. Let's be honest.
Well, hey. Yeah, you didn't sign me, that's for sure.
Well, he should have. You were better than George Zeber. How long was George Zeber in the major leagues?
A little over a year.
Okay, how long were you? A little bit more than that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
almost 10.
Yeah, and you could also play more than one position.
Well, they didn't need George Zieber to win. That was the thing. They had durability in Nettles and Dent and Randolph. Nobody needed a backup infielder with those three.
Yeah, but Randolph used to get hurt a lot though early in his career for whatever reason. Yeah, it happened. But whatever it is, we should have kept you. But
so what? Let's talk about the National League a second. Tell me about your pick for the National League championship. Who's going to advance?
I got to think the Dodgers are heavy favorites. I don't know what's going on with San Diego. It looks like Clevenger might not be able to go, and Lamet recently got hurt. Those are two big guys. I've really liked. I'm
glad San Diego made it to the playoffs because they the ownership group. They went out and got Ramirez. They got our player Hosmer, came from Kansas City here. And
right
now I think that they've grown up a lot as a team, and they might be a sleeper.
Yeah, they got a lot of talent on that team.
Do you know Bob Chandler out there? The play-by-play. We've had him on a couple of times, and he's given us some nice Padres insight. So it's
he was their
information on them
for 30 years.
I mean,
hey, how about the Reds turning it around and getting into playoffs, huh?
I've liked the Reds for I feel like years now. They've kind of been like my sleeper team, and finally they get hot here. And they're going to play the Braves. And, I have no love lost for the Braves being a Phillies fan. They've pretty much kicked our tail in since I've been alive, since I was in 1989. They've kind of been the kings of the NL East. So it would please me nothing more than to see the Reds knock out the Atlanta Braves. I just don't know if that's feasible.
Yeah.
They score a lot of runs, but the Reds have that pitching. They have Sonny Gray, they have Bauer, they have Castillo.
Don't say that name, Rob.
Which one?
Bauer.
The first one. Sonny Gray.
Sonny Gray, yeah. Brad hates Sonny Gray because he couldn't.
He couldn't get an old lady out when he pitched with the Yankees.
And and then he goes to Cincinnati and he's getting it done. He's had two really good seasons there. Do you see that? I mean, you played in New York. Is there merit to that argument? Is it different to play there? Is it?
Yeah, it's different to play in any city. Every city's different, But the bottom line is, what are the players like? The camaraderie inside the clubhouse and how you fit in, and how you help the team win is more important than the city or the reporters or the weather or anything else. And when I got traded to the Royals. There were like 6 guys that were on the All-Star team that year. 6 players went to the All-Star team, and I was on that team. I wasn't an All-Star, but sometimes you get around players like that, and you get to be a better player. You learn the game better. You just watch them play, and you try to stay in their shadow, really, because that's what I liked about my career. Is I was able to not worry about what city I was in. I was able to try to play up to the level of my teammates, and that's why I played so long, I think.
I remember you were a pest as a hitter.
I was what?
You were a pest as a hitter.
A pest, yeah. Well, I didn't. I hated to strike out. Back in my day, striking out, I was embarrassed to walk back to the dugout. Now, guys sprint back, waving to the crowd when they strike out. It seems like, and I didn't mind getting 2 strikes on me. A lot of times I didn't want to make it out on the first pitch, and I would take a lot of good pitches on the first pitch. I didn't swing, but that's just Ted Williams didn't either. He never swung at the first pitch, and Wade Boggs never swung at the first pitch. So there's arguments on both sides about how to be a pesky hitter or whatever. But I was always wanting to. I didn't mind getting 2 strikes on me, but one time I was a rookie in Chicago. I had 2 strikes. There was a 3-2 count, and the umpire called a pitch that was at least that far out and low. And I could have thrown my bat at it. And I said to myself, I'm going to go meet this umpire. So I walked back, and he had the inner tube on. Back when I played, they had the inner tube. And I said, "Excuse me." I said, if you call me out on a pitch like that, I'm trying to earn a living here. I said, "Yes, how can you do that?" He goes, "You're a rookie, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, well, I'm Bill Howler. I've been here 15 years. I said, let me give you some advice. The next time I'm behind home plate, don't get 2 strikes on you. Now get the hell away from me.
Great.
What are you gonna do? You know, I walked away, and I remembered that. Whenever he was behind home plate, I didn't want to get 2 strikes on me.
So, Greg, if you were a hitting coach in today's atmosphere, today's climate, where you either strike out, walk, or hit a home run, where do you start with some of these guys to maybe get back to some of the fundamental techniques of hitting, not being scared to get 2 strikes, choking up?
Well, here's what I think. I think that the game, fortunately or unfortunately, depends on what kind of fan you are. The long ball has taken over too much, obviously. Look at the stats. There's more home runs hit last year than in the last 2 years than a lot of times before. So I think that these minor leaguers are being taught about launch angle, which I don't really understand. Don't really care to understand it. They're talking about velocity off the bat, I guess, and angles, and I'm thinking, whatever happened to getting on base and getting a good pitch to hit and spraying it around like Rod Carew used to do, like George Brett used to do. Those were classic. You couldn't defend those guys. You had to spread out. Now these guys come up and they move the infield. They move the third baseman behind second with some of these left-handed hitters, and they move the shortstop over to third when a left-handed hitter's up. I never thought I would see that. So your question about what can a hitting instructor do to get guys to be different hitters? Sometimes I think the hitting instructors are given too much credit, and they're given too much blame for a hitter not performing. Because I played. My hitting instructors: Veda Pinson, Orlando Cepeda, Charlie Lau. I had some great hitting instructors, great hitters, but Rocky Calavita was a hitting instructor too. But I was of the opinion that I didn't want anybody else getting in my brain as a hitter. I didn't really get too much instruction, and I think that there's just too much instruction going on. I think guys ought to learn how to hit like major league hitters and hit the ball where it's pitched. But a lot of times, they'd rather hit it into the shift, and it's frustrating that I really don't have an answer for you because I don't know. I do know Kevin Steitzer, who's hitting instructor for Atlanta, and he said that hitting has changed, and there's not much they can do about it if hitters won't try to hit the ball all around.
Now you just DJ LeMahieu does. That's why he won a batting title.
Who's that?
DJ LeMahieu this year.
And why did he win the title? Because
he hits the ball everywhere. Right field, left field. I mean, he saw that right field porch in Yankee Stadium, and he probably said, I can reach that.
Well, it's obviously that's you should hit according to what your stadium will give you. Boston, if you're trying to hit to right field as a right-handed hitter, they probably don't want you to do that. But I think that those are the kind of hitters I would have on my team. I'd want a team that can spray the ball around and try to hit the gaps and try to spread the defense out.
Your team did that in '85, most definitely.
Well, in 15 they did it too. Yeah, '85 we had Balboni hit 36 homers in '85, and
but your whole team didn't do that. Yeah. I mean, you had a lot of guys that went with the pitch and were just tough out.
But that's the way old-time baseball was played. The game's changed, whether they wound the ball tighter or they moved the fences in, whatever. But in 2015, the Royals won a World Series here, and they had a lot of guys that were great 2-strike hitters. It was wonderful to watch, and that's the reason why they beat the Mets in 15 is because they had hitters that could hit with 2 strikes and hit the ball the other way if they had to.
And they were also really clutch.
Yeah. Clutch is great.
I'm a big accountability guy. At what point is it on the players to go out there and do it? Because like you said, hitting instructors, assistant coaches, no matter what the sport, Doc Rivers just got fired today for the Los Angeles Clippers. He's a fantastic coach. At what point is it the coach need to be held accountable for his players not performing? And at what point do the players kind of need to look themselves in the mirror and be like, it doesn't matter who the coach is. I'm not good enough. I got to be better.
Well, it's in regards to my career and the managers I had. The managers I had kind of expected us to know how to play the game before we got on the field, and it was up to kind of like the general manager should get the blame because managers, again, just like hitting coaches, they get too much credit, too much blame, because the general manager is the one that gets the manager of the players. So the manager is he's at the disposal of the players whether the players want to show up and play or not. In regards to basketball or baseball or football coaches, the win-loss column basically dictates whether a guy's going to keep his job or not. Because if you have a losing team and you don't have that many players that you can trade to make your team better, you can't really look forward to the next season. So it's hard to trade players, but it's easy to fire a manager.
Very true. So another one of your former teams finds themselves in the dance. The extended to the 7th seed in the American League, the Chicago White Sox. They kind of got a young upstart team there, another AL Central team in the mix there, someone that you're probably familiar with following the Royals. Do you give them a chance against the A's? I think they have a great chance against the Oakland A's.
Yeah, I think they'll advance. I think it wouldn't surprise me if they're one of the last 4 teams standing. I think that they came out of spring training with a ton of expectations because they had made some interesting moves to fill in gaps, and they had some really good players, the last couple of years. And I think that Renteria has done a really good job, as a fairly new manager in the big leagues. And I played against him, I think, when we were both in the big leagues. I think he was in a National League infielder. So I'm happy for him because Ed Farmer was a good friend of mine for years. Ed passed this year, and Ed told me that Rich was a great manager. So I'm glad for Chicago. I'm glad for the fans, and I expect the White Sox to beat Oakland in the first round.
Brad, what do you got? What do you got going on in that series?
I kind of like them too. I'll be honest with you. Oakland always finds a way to lose lately in the playoffs, and you know what? It seems like the White Sox would be Greg's kind of team because you know what? They're a team. They don't strike out a lot. Everybody seems to hit the ball and play. They've got a lot of high average hitters. They're just a tough team to deal with, and you know what? They're not going to have any pressure because nobody really expects them to go out and beat Oakland. But you know what? They just might go ahead and do it. I mean, they have the pitchers to go out there and compete, and you know what? They'll get their hits. And Oakland also lost one of their best players, so there's a real good chance you may see an upset in that series. I wouldn't count the White Sox out at all. I kind of like them in that series.
Now you have the top 2 seeds in the American League are the Tampa Bay Rays and the Oakland Athletics, the 2 lowest payrolls in baseball. How does that happen, Greg? I mean, we have a team flirting with the luxury tax here in Philadelphia. We have a team in New York, the Mets, who seem to spend a lot of money and can never seem to figure it out. The Red Sox are on the verge of losing draft picks. They're so far over the luxury tax. None of those teams are playing postseason baseball. But the Rays and the A's kind of year after year somehow see, I know they didn't win 90 games this year because there was only 60 games. They win 90, 95 games and get themselves in the mix for a world championship. How do they do?
Marlins too. Look at the Marlins.
Yeah,
example.
If you ask a lot of baseball fans to name the lineups for Oakland or Tampa Bay, you might have a tough time naming 5 or 6 of them. I think that based on it's my premonition, my thought is that the scouting and the farm directors have gotten some good young players that feel like an honor to play for those 2 teams because I played in Oakland. Thank goodness I never played in Tampa Bay because I never liked to play in indoor stadiums. I thought it was not real baseball. But I played in Oakland. It's not great baseball atmosphere out there. You almost think like Darryl LeMonic is going to be fading back to pass when you hit a fly ball. He's an old quarterback for Oakland.
I remember.
Anyway, so I give those 2 teams a lot more credit than than the Yankees or the Indians or the Braves, because those small markets are in the playoffs, and that's great for baseball. It's great for the fans, and another great thing about it is if Tampa Bay goes to the World Series, we won't have to watch the Tampa Bay. We won't have to watch a World Series in Tampa Bay because they'll be playing in Texas or San Diego, right? Or is it?
Yeah, I believe that the World Series is going to be in that new ballpark in Arlington.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, and I'm kind of glad about that. You know, football does it. You know, they pick a different site for the Super Bowl every year, but this is the first time that I think a World Series will be played in a neutral ballpark.
Is that something you're in favor of going forward?
Nah, not really, except for the weather. You know, sometimes as a ball player, I hated to play in 30, 35 degree, 40 degree temperatures. And, you know, if you get northern teams in the World Series, you know, I hate seeing guys play with ski masks on.
Right.
You know, baseball's meant to be played in 70 degree temperatures. That's when it was most comfortable. So, you know, maybe it will be played in a neutral site, but I think that your season ticket holders and fans would probably really balk at that because they won't get to go and to see their team play.
Now we have the Rays. I don't see the Rays having a problem with the Toronto Blue Jays in the first round. I think that's a relatively easy advance. No disrespect to Toronto. I think they got some good things going on with Bichette and Kevin Biggio and Vlad Guerrero Jr. All the guys I watched growing up. The Blue Jays, they just signed their sons.
Yeah.
A good thing going. But, I mean, I don't think it's going to be too difficult for the Rays to.
Yeah, they had momentum enough to play near 500 to get in there, but as I say, you're right. You know, just the experience they're going to get is going to be good, but I don't think they're going to advance.
Yeah, their lack of pitching is going to hurt them too, because I mean, Tampa Bay has real good pitching, and Toronto's pitching is very, very mediocre.
Yeah, Tampa Bay. What a team. I'll tell you what, I mean, I give those guys a lot of credit. To play games in that stadium with nobody in the stands, which you're probably used to, because, you know, they have an attendance problem down there. But it's not easy. And I give Tampa Bay, when they stood up to the Yankees this year and went toe-to-toe, you know, when they were throwing at players and stuff. And I give Tampa Bay a lot of credit for hanging in there because small markets – to beat the Yankees has been really fun to watch this season.
Well, keep in mind that the Yankees were pretty banged up when they played Tampa Bay. I mean, they didn't have LeMahieu, they didn't have Torres, they didn't have Judge, and they didn't have Stanton. I mean, that's four guys off your lineup. So, I mean, that may have had something to do with it. But listen, they're going to have their problems with Tampa Bay. They always do, and you know that's just the way it is. They've never really been good against Tampa Bay, especially on the road. And I would think in a neutral stadium, that's like playing on the road. I don't see how it's going to help the Yankees.
So all these series, correct me if I'm wrong, all three games in the first round are at one site. They don't go to another city to play the.
That's correct. Yeah,
well, it's a great advantage for the home team, you know. So I would pick more home teams to win the first round.
Here's a great question in our comments from Adam Rush, tuning in on Facebook. What's the loudest stadium you played in while playing baseball in the major leagues?
It was probably, I hate to say this, but it was probably the Humphrey Dome because it was an enclosed dome. And when they got like 40,000 people in there, you know, it was like being in a rock show. But in an outdoor stadium, which is what I would like to respond to, I think that Kauffman Stadium, it used to be Roll Stadium, was the loudest in the sixth game of the '85 World Series, where Dane Orge drove a ball to right field to drive in the winning runs, and we had 44,000 there that night. And that was the loudest I had ever heard any game in the big leagues was that night because it didn't stop. It was going for like 5 to 10 minutes. Fans just started screaming because we had tied the series up, and then we won the next night. But I was at the 2015 again. What do you call it? When the Royals played Oakland in the wild card game in 15, and we won that game in extra innings. And I was there. I was in my seat at 7:30, and I didn't get out of my seat until I think it was the 12th inning that game ended. And when Salvi Perez hit the ball down the line to win the game, That was about the second loudest I've ever seen. So Royal Stadium is the answer, and 85 is number one, and 2015 is number two.
Okay, and we have Dark Age 9117. The Dodgers will self-implode versus the Brewers first round this year. Sorry to say this, but the Dodgers, even back to their Brooklyn days, were a doormat for the then New York Giants and, of course, the Yankees to walk over and spit out. They are a clown franchise. They have wasted so much talent over the last 32 years, which was the last time they won anything. So back in 88, they were able to win. They haven't won anything since then. The Dodgers, they're loaded this year, but you can't really ignore their playoff struggles, Greg.
Yeah, I'm kind of a Dodger fan now because my youngest daughter's fiance is a big Dodger fan. I've been watching them more closely, and if they got into the World Series, it wouldn't surprise me. I think that they have enough guys in there on that team that have tasted almost victory in the playoffs, almost. And there's a carryover effect that only the player notices and the clubhouse notices. And then, getting Betts was crazy how they got Betts. And I think he blended in well. So, I know about the history of the Dodgers not winning, but that's what happens in life. Sometimes teams, like the Cubs, they didn't win for so long, and then all of a sudden they won, just like the Red Sox. So I think the Dodgers should be considered as a World Series contender.
Do you factor that in, their struggles, or is this just a new slate?
Well, I factor it in because of this reason. When I got to play here in Kansas City, I got traded here in '82. And there was most of the team had been in the playoffs. I had never been in the playoffs. You get around players that have been in the playoffs before, and they don't really kind of think of the season as much as they do. They're looking forward to playing in the postseason. And when I got here, it was like 8 guys or 9 guys that I kind of talked to them, and I said, hey, we got a chance to be in the playoffs. He goes, no, we don't think about playoffs until September 1st, and then we turn on the gas to win the division. That's what we do. So I think that the guys on the Dodgers team are primed for their best performance of the season coming up here. They're going to get momentum, and I think it's going to carry them through. I could be surprised, but I just think the Dodgers have what it takes this year. So we're going to sell a book tonight?
Yeah, you can sell a book. It's a great book. I've read it. I own it.
Yeah. What I was going to do here is I was going to show you guys what I put in my book.
Hey, show us your ring, too.
Oh, well,
that's the World Series ring.
That's a World Series
champion.
So 85 World Champion.
Yeah, if you play long enough, you get on a good team and you get a World Series ring,
Oh, stop.
But today I got this card in the mail. I ordered like 50 of those rookie cards. That's a rookie card from Yankee Stadium. The book is called The Day the Yankees Made Me Shave, and you can go online, thedaytheyankeesmademeshave.com. And it's kind of funny that I got a bunch of those cards in the mail today, rookie card. On the back of it is all my minor league stats. Because, when you're a rookie, you got no big league stats. So the only thing they can put on your card is minor league stats. So I signed this card and I put it in the front of my book. And also I signed this picture. And on the back of here is 21 tips on how to be a better baseball player. And I signed that. I put that in the book. And then I hand out a bookmarker. It says, living your life with a major league attitude. And I know that, Brad, you're living your life with a major league attitude, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
And I've given my business card so they can call me. And then I put out a brochure of Life Priority. That's the company that my wife and I run, have been in business for 25, 30 years now. And then it's a health and nutrition company at lifepriority.com. And I'm going to throw a couple of my products on the screen for you to see.
Go for it.
Those are called Lift Caps. 2 capsules on an empty stomach eliminates mental fatigue. There's a 2-month supply in here, and you can't get it in stores. You can get it at lifepriority.com. And then another product that I want to show you a look at is called Muscle Memory. Use your imagination. You take this before you work out and have one of the best workouts of your life. And then one more product, and I'll be done with this, is called V-Guard. V-Guard 2. The V stands for, guess what? COVID. And anyway, so this is something that our scientists created so that people could take it to help their immune system. So that's V-Guard 2. So, yeah, we've been shipping products since 1994. And, again, if they want to get my book, I'll be glad to send a brochure. Or they can call Life Priority at lifepriority.com or go email us, and we'll be glad to mail them information about our company. So thanks for letting me plug my 2 companies.
No problem. Now, you do still get quite a bit of fan mail we talked about before the show.
Yeah, I just happened to get one letter here.
There you go.
It's from a Mr. Jeff Sanborn in Brentwood, Tennessee. And he's thank goodness he sent a big envelope. A lot of them send small envelopes. So I'm going to open this up here, and I'm going to, well, it's got 2 cards in it. He sent 3 cards to get signed. All Royals cards.
Okay.
And then I'm going to read his, and then he thank goodness he sent me a self-addressed stamped envelope there.
There you go. Very prepared.
And then he writes this, types this letter. I'll read this to you. Dear Mr. Pryor, I would be honored to add your autograph to my collection. Could you please sign the enclosed cards and index card for me? This would be greatly appreciated. I grew up collecting in the mid-'70s, so I always saw your cards show up in my packs. I was wondering a few things. Now they're going to ask me questions, right? They asked me to sign the cards. Now they're going to ask me questions. What was your secret with Jim Colburn? This is the first time I've ever been asked this. Even though you had just 4 bats against him, you clobbered him with 2 home runs and 3 RBIs. And you also wore out Mike Caldwell too. 10 hits and a .417 average. Conversely, you had lots of trouble with Rudy May. Remember the old Yankee pitcher? Rudy
Yeah, that big curveball.
What do you think his secret was? Like I'm going to tell these guys, right? Thank you for your time and wish you the best in 2020 and beyond. If possible, could you please send a signed photo or postcard? Yours truly, Jeff Sanborn. Stay safe. Now, he mentioned Jim Colburn in this letter. And in my book, I talk about the home runs that I hit off of Colburn as one of my 27 stories. You know, it was the day that I played the day that I hit my first walk-off home run or something like that. And so, you know, the people that they see a book here, this is like 27 stories about when I played. And one of the games that I played, I hit 2 home runs off of Jim Colburn, and I put it in the book. So that was kind of fun.
Now, did you know? Like, what's that?
It's a great book.
Yeah, thank you.
It's very entertaining.
Your book, Brad. Show them your book.
Here you go, guys. And by the way,
show them how I signed it.
Here you go.
Yes, very neat. Mine signed as well.
Yeah, you guys.
Wait a minute. Okay, there you go. And what do we got in here? Got a nice little. Oh, no. Wait a minute. Nope, that's not it. You know what? I don't know what I did with all the cards.
That's your electric bill. You're using your electric bill to. Come on.
But I got all your stuff in here, and I'll tell you what, guys, it's a very entertaining book. And, you know, you got a little humor in it, but he's the kind of guy you really want to root for.
Yeah, thanks. And then we mentioned that October 11th podcast I'm going to do with Jim Sundberg. And I'll let you guys know when it is. Maybe you can promote it for me.
Absolutely,
we'd be happy to.
Thank you.
If you guys all heard that, Greg is going to be doing a podcast with Jim Sundberg on the 11th.
Yeah, it'll be a Sunday night. We don't know the exact time yet, but your people can keep track of when it's going to be. You can let them know. Okay,
we absolutely will.
Sundberg won 6 Gold Gloves, and he's so funny. He was a lot better major leaguer than I was. He played a lot longer, and we both share a World Series ring. So he said he would do a podcast with me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Last thing, Greg. Do you have a World Series prediction?
I think Dodgers, and I think Yankees. That's what I
The
think.
Yankees are going to squeeze through, huh?
Yeah,
They're
I think I thought it was going to happen last year, and now they both are back in it. They're in the top 8, and it might be a good way to end baseball season with two of the old time teams playing each other like they used to back in the old days. You know, the Brooklyn Dodgers and New York and New York Giants. Or what they call the Giants back then? New York Giants.
Yeah.
New York Giants. Yeah, I bet you the fans were really mad when they moved the Giants and the Dodgers both to California. You know,
well, they all became Met fans, so they all have issues.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg, one of our guys, Greg Milakovic, wants to know if somebody's sending athletes something to sign. Okay, how important is it to make sure that you send the self-addressed envelope?
well, it's a little. It's important, but it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get it back. You know, it's a crapshoot with wanting autographs because this card here you can probably get it for 20 cents online, but if I sign it, it's worth $8 on eBay. So you tell me how many cards I want to sign and send out. I should sign them and sell them myself on eBay, but I don't. But if they do buy the book, I'll sign their cards, and if they have cards, if some of your listeners have cards and they want to mail them to me, if they buy my book, they can mail them to me, and I'll send them back signed with the book. So, I'm trying to help the fans out because I love baseball fans, especially the ones that have supported baseball through all the problems we've had this year.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to write a lot to the players, but I sent them one card, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of them signed it and sent it back.
No.
But you get people these days are so greedy, and then they wonder why the players don't want to sign them. Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's this guy that wrote this letter to me. I have to. Should I respond back to those questions about how come I couldn't hit Rudy May?
No.
I'll send his cards back. Though. I'll send his cards.
Were you aware of that?
What's that?
Like your numbers against, like, you're walking in the ballpark, you're facing Caldwell. Man, I hit this guy really good. I see him the day today. You don't care.
Let's face it. I really didn't look forward to facing Jack Morris. I didn't look forward to facing Ron Guidry in '78. I think he won 27 games. I didn't look forward to facing Roger Clemens. I didn't worry whether I hit him in the past. I just knew that they were very good pitchers for a reason. They got more hitters out, But I love facing left-handers. Without left-handers, I wouldn't be on this show today. I'm glad that I was able to hit left-handers really well, and Mike Caldwell was one of them. But like Rudy May was a left-hander. I guess I didn't hit him very well. But it's I played 10 years, and they paid me, and I hit enough to get on a really good World Series team. So I'm really happy with my career.
Well, Greg, we really appreciate you coming on. Best of luck with the life priority. Best of luck with the podcast. Keep us in touch about that.
Okay. You guys are great. Thank you.
And hopefully we can finish strong with a good World Series, a COVID-free World Series.
All right. Rob, Brad, Frank in the background there. Huh?
Frank's in the back, yes.
All right, you guys. Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
All right. And that was Greg Pryor. Ladies and gentlemen, 1985 World Series champion. Played on a bunch of teams. Illustrious 10-year career. Good ball player. Good player. The kind of guy you need, Brad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can't have all superstars. You got to have guys that do the dirty work. Greg did that.
He was a real pesty kind of hitter. I mean, when he'd get up there, he'd foul a lot of pitches off. You'd have to throw a lot of pitches to him. And he'd grind his at-bats. He'd get on base. He was a pretty good player. I mean, when he got a chance to play full-time with the White Sox, he was a very good player. And then when he went to the Royals, he pretty much was a utility player. But you have to have good utility players to come in and play. I mean, that's part of the game, especially back then and even now. I mean, you need guys that can play different positions and play them well.
All right, let's go through some of these comments here. I want to get predictions down on paper when it comes to the MLB playoffs, and then we're gonna crush some people. We're gonna crush some people when it comes to the Eagles. I'm sure you're gonna crush some people when it comes to the Giants. We got Monday Night Football going on. I'm utterly shocked that Doc Rivers doesn't have a job in Los Angeles anymore when it comes to the NBA, and obviously we have the Stanley Cup on the brink of wrapping up as well. So we got a lot to cover here in the next.
Well, Braden Point,
minutes.
Braden Point, what's new? Scores the first goal for the Lightning.
That guy's a stud, man.
Well, he took a shot from the slot. Well, actually, he was coming down on the off wing, took a shot. Kadobin made a real nice save, and he followed up his rebound and put it in. I mean, you can't stop guys who are determined to get to the net, and that's the kind of player that you love to have on your team. He's going to win the Conn Smythe. There's no question in my mind.
And the Chiefs are up 6-3 on the Ravens. First quarter just about over. Patrick Mahomes ran the football in. Patrick Mahomes is just doing Patrick Mahomes things. There we have a completion to Kelsey right there. If you have him in fantasy, he's had a couple catches so far. There is a penalty flag on the play. It's offsides on the Ravens. So the Chiefs continue to march. They're looking really strong here in the early going against the Ravens. But, Brad, let's go through this bracket here. Oh, comments first. Let's not ignore the fam. I tried to get to some of the questions in the fam, but we wanted to get Greg's expertise. Tommy Arnone, he disagrees to the poll. I wish I remembered how I worded the question. I think I've worded it, the New York Yankees will defeat the Cleveland Indians.
Yes, and I disagree with the poll, too, because I think the Indians are going to beat the Yankees.
And I disagree. I disagree as well, because I think that the Indians are going to beat them.
Yeah, I do, too. And I'm a Yankee fan, in case some of you don't know. And, yes, I know some of you Yankee fans, and the Yankee fan groups are going to be mad at me, and I love the Yankees more than anybody. But you know what? I am very concerned about this matchup. I really am. I mean, I think the Indians owe us one from 2017. And I'm afraid to think that it might happen this year. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but, we got bailed out because we had Didi Gregorius, who was a great shortstop for us, who was hitting the ball. Who's going to do it this year for us? That's
someone's got to step up. But
somebody's got to do it.
The Yankees, because this is where I think the Yankees are in trouble, and this is why I think the Yankees are in trouble in this series. Outside of the fact that all 3 games are going to be in Cleveland, which is a huge factor.
Major factor.
The Yankees went out and got a new toy for the top of their rotation, a $300 million, whatever he got paid, piece in Garrett Cole. And the Yankees are probably going to be underdogs in game 1 because Shane Bieber won the Triple Crown of pitching in the American League. Shane Bieber could very well be the American League Cy Young and the American League MVP. I don't think it's going to work out like that, but, I mean, he's
However, in Shane Bieber's only start against the Yankees last year, he lasted 1 1/3 innings and gave up 5 runs.
But that was last year. The young man is young and he's developed into a true ace.
I'm just saying, it's not like they haven't had success. If you remember,
the Yankees have a terrific lineup.
Corey Kluber had the same thing, and the Yankees used to pound him. So, the weird thing with the Yankees is it's the mediocre to lousy pitchers that always seem to get, and they seem to always do well against the top pitchers, which is a mystery to me. But we'll see. I think the Yankees. I don't like the matchup for the Yankees. I think this is the kind of matchup that could hurt them because the Indians have a lot of speed, and they're a real good defensive team. The one thing that could kill the Yankees is their defense. The Yankees defensively this year may have committed the most errors in the league. I'm not sure if they finished with more than Boston or Pittsburgh or not. I didn't watch much of the last game of the season, so I can't remember if they were the worst or they were the third or second worst. But their infield defense this year has been just atrocious. And, other than Gio Urshela, who's outstanding, Gleyber Torres has struggled. DJ LeMahieu has been up and down defensively. And Luke Voigt is kind of like a parking cone at first base. If the ball's hit right to him, he's going to catch it. But, he doesn't move either way to catch the ball. And that's a concern. And against a team like the Indians who make contact, put the ball on the ground and like to run, and with a red hot hitter like Ramirez on the team, they really scare me right now.
Yeah, there's Philly Sports Passion 85. The Indians will beat the Yankees. The Greg Milakovic, he disagrees to the poll as well. Go Tribe. But Brad, the reason, even though the Yankees signed Garrett Cole, which everyone thought was kind of the missing link, I feel like the Yankees just aren't as good as they were last year, and they didn't even go to the World Series last year.
Well, Garrett Cole was good this year. He had a little hiccup in the middle of the season, but Garrett Cole was very good. I mean, I believe he was 7-3 with a 2.87 ERA. I mean, Garrett Cole wasn't really the problem. The problem with the Yankees was that they're
they can't field. They can't field. And Didi Gregorius being in Philadelphia, that's a huge – forget about his offense. Gleyber Torres is not the caliber of defensive shortstop that Didi Gregorius –
Not even close.
You just talked about Luke Voit, who might be the American League MVP. He hit damn near 25 home.
Luke Voit is a tremendous hitter, and that's a positive. But defensively, he's a little bit lacking defensively. I think what you're going to see with the Yankees, if they have a lead going into the late innings, what I think you're going to see is Gleyber Torres come out of the game. I think you're going to see You're going to see Gleyber Torres move to second. I think you're going to see Tyler Wade in the game at short. I think you're going to see DJ LeMahieu at first, and Luke Voit is going to come out. And then I think you'll see Brett Gardner in left. I think the Yankees will make 4 defensive changes.
Now,
the one guy that they have that's a fabulous defensive player is Gio Urshela. I mean, Gio Urshela, to me, other than the fella in Colorado, Mr. Arenado, he might have the most range of any third baseman in baseball right now. That guy is unbelievable, the way he plays third base.
What do you do with Stanton? What are they going to do with Stanton?
Huh?
What are they going to do with Stanton?
Stanton's going to be the DH, but I'm going to tell you something right now. If Stanton keeps striking out and is an ineffective player, don't be surprised if they put Torres back at second, they put Wade at shortstop, and they move DJ to first base and let Voit be the DH. I mean, that would not surprise me. Because you know what? I don't think they're going to put up with Stanton stinking it up again. I just don't. I think he's going to have a short leash. I would watch for that with Stanton. If Stanton comes out and is hitting the ball game 1, you'll see him game 2. But if he has another one of these stretches where he's striking out all the time, I don't know if they're going to play him.
So let's say we go game 1, the Yankees lose, and Giancarlo Stanton, he's got an 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Is he down for game 2?
How many runs did the Yankees score?
I don't know.
The Yankees score 2 runs.
They lose 3-2. I don't think they're going to score many runs against Bieber, as good as they are.
Well, they may lose.
Let's say they lose 3-2. I don't know.
It's very. Listen, you might see changes. It depends if their defense gave up the runs because they weren't fielding. You might see some changes. I think it has a lot to do with Stanton's at bats. And also, if the Yankees' defense are making the plays, if they're not making the plays, they're going to make some changes. I mean, there's no question. They've got guys who can play. Tyler Wade is one of the better guys defensively on the team, and I think you put him anywhere, he's a plus defender, especially shortstop. And I would not be surprised. He'll definitely come in late in the game. I think you'll see Torres move to second, and I think you'll see LeMahieu move to first, and Voit will come out of the game. And I think you'll see Frazier come out for Gardner defensively in left field. Don't be surprised if you see all that stuff. I think the key for the Yankees is to try to load up the pitch counts of the Indians starting pitchers. The Indians bullpen is really basically 2 guys. The guy I had mentioned with Greg, I can't remember his name. Starts with a K. I just can't remember his name, but they have a reliever who struck out 30 right-handed hitters and 50 at bats, and Hand. And to be honest with you, that's it. So if you can get into the 6th and 7th innings against their bullpen, they're very hittable. And the Yankee hitters, when they're on their game, are taking a lot of pitches. working the pitchers and getting them out of the game early. So they're going to have to play that game, and they're going to have to play it right, and they're going to have to make sure they lay off of the pitches that are bad pitches, and that's going to be the key to the series. Guys like Aaron Hicks, Aaron Judge, they're going to have to work that count. Kirk Gardner, when he's in there, they're going to have to work that count, get these pitchers out of the game, and get them out early.
It's James Karinchak.
Thank you. That's the guy. That's the guy. And he was sensational for the Indians this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 53 strikeouts in the 27 innings.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
Silly.
Yeah, that guy is silly. He's so good. I think you're going to see him you may even see him in the ninth. From what I understand about Cleveland, and again, I did my research, but I haven't really watched a lot of Indian games. Hand did not always pitch in the ninth inning. A lot of times they brought in Hand if the heart of the order was up in the eighth inning. The Indians used to bring Hand in. You know how Francona manages, and now I believe Sandy Alomar Jr. is managing the team because Francona was sick. But he's basically managing the same way Francona did. And Francona would always bring in his best pitcher against the toughest part of the order in the late innings. If you remember, he used to do that with Miller all the time when Miller was on the Indians.
Right. So you have the Indians beating your Yankees?
I think the Indians are going to beat the Yankees. I hope I'm wrong.
It's pretty unanimous in the chat and with us. And, Greg kind of
hinted around it, but then he picked the Yankees to play the Dodgers in the World Series. So
right.
I think he was.
I mean, he played for the Yankees, and he played. The Indians were his favorite growing up. So
right.
Karen Phillips, she thinks the Tribe are going to win in 2, and she is in on the Rays. Rays up as part of her comment. I don't think the Rays are going to have a problem with. Look at that 93-yard kick return touchdown. I can't remember the last time I saw a kick return touchdown in the NFL.
Really? Which team did that? They got the hockey game.
The Ravens. So it's 13-9 right now, 13-10 pending the extra point.
Okay.
But yeah, usually it's just like an automatic start on the 25 now. So it's nice to see that special teams. And look at that.
Rookie
Devin Duvernay out of Texas, a rookie receiver.
Well, the Seattle Seahawks have a beast kickoff returner also, but he gets to return the ball. But the Cowboys made sure that didn't happen yesterday.
Right. So I don't see that. I don't see the Rays having a problem with the Blue Jays. Do you?
No, but I do think that they're going to have problems with teams like the Twins and the White Sox. I do think that the Twins, if the Twins don't have to play the Yankees, I think the Twins have a chance to be a very dangerous team.
And then, we have the Twins, and the Twins are going to walk all over the Astros.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
The Astros just don't have the pitching, and it's funny how these averages for these so-called superstars for the Houston Astros have dipped considerably after the sign-stealing scandal.
You mean now that they can't cheat?
Right.
Well, did you notice J.D. Martinez's season this year with the Red Sox not being able?
Hasn't been good, no.
Yeah, well, you know what? That just gives credence to the fact that they were very good at cheating the last few years, and now that they've been caught and they haven't figured out a new way to cheat, things are a little different. So we'll see what happens.
Now, I think that the American League is going to get a little crazy here. I think we're going to have some upsets in the American League, and I think the National League is going to be more chalky, so to speak. So I'm
going with the Rays and the Dodgers. The way from what I've seen, I don't think there's any question about the Rays being the best team in the American League this year.
I think the winner of the Yankees and the Indians series goes to the World Series.
Really? Okay.
I do. I like remember I picked the Indians in the American League at the beginning of the season. They have terrific players in Lindor and Jose Ramirez, who's just on fire right now. We talked about it. They have Bieber, an ace. They have a good bullpen. They have a nice supporting cast with Franmil Reyes and Carlos Santana, and Cesar Hernandez has been decent for them.
And Lindor, don't forget him.
Lindor, he's obviously a superstar.
The only thing I would say, though, is this. Reyes strikes out a lot. And if he has a bad series...
He does, but everyone strikes out a lot.
No, I know, but he's one of those guys. He's like Stanton. He could be striking out every time he's up. And if the bottom of their order, 6 through 9, which is not very good, doesn't hit, and it's all up to those 4 guys, I don't know if 4 guys can beat the Yankees offensively.
And then I'm concerned if the Yankees lose game 1 with Cole on the hill, I guess Tanaka would go.
Tanaka against Carrasco. The Yankees have always hit Carrasco pretty hard.
But so he's pretty good. And then they're going to have Plesac lined up in game 3, who I think is pretty good.
Hap had a very good year. Who would be the game 3 pitcher for Cleveland?
I would assume it's Zach Plesac.
The Yankees have never faced him before. That could be a problem.
So, I mean, I think that like Oakland losing Chapman is big. I think the White Sox are they're young.
I think they're going to beat the A's. I mean, the A's.
Yeah, I do that, but then I think they're going to have to play the Twins.
The White Sox.
Yeah, and I don't know how that's going to go.
The White Sox matched up very well with the Twins this year. The team the White Sox couldn't beat was the Indians.
So I am going to stand, but I think the White Sox might come out of the bottom of that bracket because I think they have better pitching than the Twins. The Twins, they don't have.
I give that to. I give that to. Although I'll tell you the guy from the Dodgers that they got, Maeda, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah,
Maeda.
Solid guy.
Yeah, he pitched real well. But keep in mind now, this is the first year that the American League has seen Kenta Maeda. So I mean, second time around, now that they've seen him pitch, you wonder what's going to happen. I mean, he's good, but he's not Sandy Koufax. He's not like that. And the rest of the Twins pitching is pretty shaky. So you're right. I just think Tampa Bay right now has the pitching. Their bullpen is tremendous, and they may not have a lot of sluggers on their team, but it just seems like somehow, in spite of the crappy lineup that they put out on the field, that crappy lineup always seems to score a lot of runs. I don't know how they do it, but they do. I mean, you saw it this weekend against the Phillies. If you score 9, they'll score 10. If you score 2, they'll score 3. That's the kind of team they are.
Well, I'm trying to hold my patience on the Phillies tremendously because it's a very frustrating end of the season.
Well, it's time for you to let loose on the Phillies because we're going to be getting into football soon. And
right. And in the National League, let's just touch on the National League. You have the Dodgers. I don't see how the Dodgers don't come out of the National League.
I agree.
You got Buehler, Kershaw in that lineup. The bullpen's not the best in baseball, but it's good enough.
I'm going to go with the Rays. I'm going to go with the Rays in 6 in the World Series over the Dodgers.
So you have the Rays winning the entire World Series.
Yes, I do. I think that team to me just looked very, very good. I know when they played the Yankees, I said it to Greg. I know that the Yankees were very, very beat up and they didn't have their whole team. But you know what? It just seems like the Rays this year, they were 40-20. And it just seemed like all season long, while they weren't they're not a great team, but they always do the right thing to win. They don't make errors. They got good pitching. They got good relief pitching. They don't strike out a lot. They seem to get their bats on the ball. They are kind of in a way very similar to Greg Pryor's Royals in '85. They just always seem to get their bats on the ball, and they find a way to win the game.
And on 19, he thinks the Braves are going to come out of the NL. I do think it's going to be the Dodgers over. I want to pick the Padres so bad, but there's just too many injury concerns heading into the playoffs with Lamet and Clevenger for me to.
Well, from what I've heard with Clevenger's going to miss the first round, but he might be available for the DLS. So or whatever you call it, the real first round of the playoffs, not the
bubble.
Whatever you call this,
the bubble round.
Yeah.
I
guess.
That's great, but they got to get there first.
the owners can get their money.
Right. But yeah, I see a lot of chalk in the National League. I think the Braves take out the Reds. I think the Cubs beat the Marlins.
Problem with the Braves, though, Rob, they have no pitching.
Yeah, but they have a tremendous offense.
They do. But you know what? Listen, Trevor Bauer. I mean, you said it at the top. Trevor Bauer, Sonny Gray, and Luis Castillo are not going to be fun to face in a short series. That is not easy. That's not going to be easy for the Braves. I would not. Would you be shocked if the Reds upset them?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, neither would I. I mean,
I'm not predicting that, but no, it wouldn't surprise me.
yeah. I mean, I'll be with you about the Braves. I think they'll win, but
Max Fried is going to pitch for the Braves.
Max Fried is good, but again, you don't have what's his name? Sakura. What's the guy's name?
Soroka.
Yes, thank you.
For his Achilles. Yeah, that was a big loss.
Yeah, that I think is gonna hurt in a short series. I just don't know that the Braves have enough pitching.
We'll see. I mean,
and you know what? The Dodgers against Milwaukee, the fact that it's only a 3-game series, yeah, maybe Milwaukee can catch lightning in a bottle and win a couple of games. Who knows? I mean, I doubt that's going to happen, but it happened last year when they beat the Cubs.
It did.
I mean, 2 games.
Look, I just don't think the Braves the Brewers are that good.
No, they're not. They're not. But winning, losing. But it's almost like the wild card round. I mean, winning a couple of games on the road, any team can beat anybody. Can win 2 games against anybody.
And now that break, but the Brewers are only in because the Phillies blow. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, but you know what?
It is baffling. It is baffling to me as a Philadelphia sports fan that you can have the manager set up the pitching staff so 4 of your final 6 games you have your number 1 and number 2 pitchers going, and they go 0-4 in those 4 games.
Well, you know what? That just goes to show one thing, okay? You can't blame the manager. Can only do so much. He did exactly. He already did the right thing. Okay, he tried like crazy to get them in the play. They wouldn't cooperate. They wouldn't hit. They just couldn't hit. I mean, losing Hoskins was a killer injury.
Yeah, but the Phillies. Well, first off, Matt Klentak and Andy McPhail need to be fired.
I agree with you, and you know what? They have to go, and that bullpen is disgracefully bad.
It's atrocious.
How many
atrocious
bullpen cost you this year?
At least 10.
I mean,
at least.
For example, I forgot who was against, but I remember one game you were at 7-1. And
against the Blue Jays, yeah.
It was the Blue Jays. Okay, you were at 7-1, and they came back and beat you 8-7.
Yeah, that happened.
I mean, that cannot happen. Not at the last. I mean, listen.
That probably wasn't even the only time that happened.
But you know what the crazy thing is? You can understand if a team's ahead 7-1 after 2 innings in a 9-inning game. I've seen plenty of teams come back from stuff like that. That happens all the time, but not in the last inning though. That's crazy.
The bullpen was atrocious. The bullpen assembled by Matt Klentak was atrocious. And then
Girardi is good at using bullpens. But
what's he supposed to do?
But you know what? If you're not going to give him anybody, what do you want the guy to do? He can't go out there and pitch himself.
I mean, John Kruk jokingly said on the broadcast in the one game that when he gets on the phone, he's calling 911. He's not calling the bullpen. He's calling 911 to get him some help. And I see some people that are crushing Joe Girardi because
And who do they want him to bring in?
I don't know, but the reason because they see Gabe Kapler overachieving with a bad team in San Francisco, and they see Joe Girardi underachieving with talent in Philadelphia, and they think about what the hell's the difference?
Because this was a silly season because it was only 60 games.
That's true, and I don't understand how you can.
Games. Rob, let's be honest. If they played 162 games, are the Giants winning more than 70?
No, probably not.
Thank you. Okay. the Phillies would have probably been like 81 and 81.
Yeah, and the Nationals would have made a charge again, and the Phillies would have been right there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
so yeah, some goofy stuff happened, but I mean, Clintack needs to be out because the Phillies are they're going to have roughly $80 million to spend.
You cannot let that man spend the money. You've got to get a guy who you trust to go out there and spend that money and spend it wisely.
And that's why I think that Mr. Middleton, Cigar Boy, didn't go over the luxury tax this year. That's why he kind of stood his ground, because he didn't trust Matt Clintack to do the right thing with it. But that's soft as an owner, because you did a good job in firing Gabe, who was a total tool bag. But, like, if you're going to fire Gabe but keep Clintack, that doesn't jive. You know what I'm saying? You either got to execute them both, get rid of them both, or keep them both.
Well, first the manager goes, okay, and if nothing changes, then the general manager's next.
But shouldn't it be the opposite?
Not necessarily. I mean, here's the thing. If the Phillies fire Clintack, okay, they're not going to fire Girardi, but I don't think too many general managers would have a problem working with Joe Girardi. Joe Girardi is a very smart manager, okay? I mean, we used to make fun of him in New York because he had that big binder that he walked around with, but he can be an analytical guy, and most teams like to use their analytics. And he'll be fine with whoever the GM is. I'm really sure of that, and he'll tell the general manager what they need. It's a secret though. Phillies need to clean up that bullpen.
Yeah, but I mean,
and they really need to go out and get themselves another hitter. I know it may sound crazy because I know they need pitching help, but you know what?
I agree with you. I agree with you there. And everybody needs to relax. JT Realmuto and Didi Gregorius are 1,000% going to be on the Philadelphia Phillies next year.
I'll tell you this: if the Phillies don't sign Didi, I wouldn't rule out him coming back to New York.
I think Didi Gregorius has a better chance to be on the Phillies roster next year than JT Realmuto does.
Yeah, I think you're going to re-sign them both. They're both good.
I think they're going to re-sign them both, but I have a really strong feeling that Didi's going to be back in the mix for this.
Did I let you down when I told you how good I thought Didi was going to be?
No, I know, Brad. I know.
He is probably one of the most underrated players in baseball.
He played a great shortstop. He hit close to 290. He got on base.
He's got unbelievable range, and he's got a great arm, and he's a real good hitter. And you know what? When there are runners on base, he's very clutch. The only bad thing about Didi is he's very streaky offensively. When he's hot, nobody can get him out. But you're going to have that 2-week period where he's not going to get any hits, and you just tolerate it. But he never takes it into the field with him.
Which is fine because Harper's the same way. Harper went a month without getting a hit, I feel like.
Yes, I mean a lot of guys are like that.
But yeah, the Phillies obviously need a bullpen, but I agree with you about the offensive standpoint. The Phillies need a leadoff hitter.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they
need a legitimate table setter.
They need a guy who's going to make things happen from the leadoff hole. And it wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, Starling Marte would be perfect for them.
Starling, you took the words right out of my mouth. Starling Marte would be absolutely perfect.
And I don't think Don Mattingly and the Marlins are going to be able to keep him. I'll tell you what, watching the Marlins play this weekend, Don Mattingly really plays old school baseball with that team.
Well, he's the manager of the year in the National League.
Yeah, I mean, but he plays old school baseball. He plays a lot of hit and run. He does a lot. He sacrifices when he gets guys on first and second. He doesn't give a rat's ass who's up. They're bunting and they're moving the runners to second and third. And he's going to take those 2 runs. And those guys don't strike out. And they're not a great offensive team, but they're going to score some runs. And they got real good starting pitching. I was very, very shocked at how good the Marlins played. I mean, they play to the best of their ability. They don't have a hell of a lot of talent. But Mattingly really did a good job. He got the most out of that talent.
I can't disagree with you. But yeah, Starling Marte stole words right out of my mouth. He'd be
old school baseball. None of this analytics shit with the Marlins.
And like I don't know why Adam Hazley doesn't get a fair shake as the 7th overall pick and a player that you've actually developed, one of the few players you've actually developed in terms of the farm system. I don't know
You
why.
already wasn't there to see him come up. That's why.
Maybe, but I mean,
He's another regime
why
player.
he doesn't get it. I don't understand why he doesn't get a shake out there. Wow, what a play. That Tyreek Hill, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's
Unbelievable. So it's going to be 20 to 10 Chiefs there in Monday Night Football.
blazing speed, that
I
guy.
don't understand why Adam Hazley doesn't get a fair shot in center field. To me, Adam Hazley should play center field and bat leadoff every day for this team.
Well, Quinn had a lot of stolen bases, but he doesn't hit enough,
Yeah,
right?
but Roman Quinn stinks.
Okay. No, I mean, I know.
Yeah, I mean, Roman Quinn, he can't hit, Brad.
Okay.
He's weak and feeble, and he doesn't play a good enough center field to make up for his deficiencies.
So he's a fourth outfielder.
Now, if he ever got on base, he can really run. He's one of the fastest players in the whole major leagues.
Yeah, he's you know what he's
That is
probably going to be a fourth outfielder for that. He's a fourth outfielder on a good team. You guys just need to get another outfielder. That's all. I mean,
And then another thing, and this is my last thing. My last thing on the Phillies before we get into some NFL stuff and the punt heard around the world. I don't want to hear Aaron Nola and the word ace ever be mentioned in the same sentence again. Aaron Nola is an above average pitcher. Aaron Nola and Matt Klentak was actually smart to, juice him in at $11.5 million a year over the next 3 seasons. That's what he's worth. He ain't worth $25 million a year like Zach Wheeler is. Zach Wheeler is the ace of this staff. Aaron Nola is above average. And Aaron Nola being above average, I may be overvaluing him. The last 3 Septembers, Brad, he has an ERA approaching 5. You're pitching him in a must-win.
this year he was over 5 too.
He pitched terrible in September. The past
He can make excuses the first few years because he maybe got tired, but
I know it's all excuses. It's all we have is excuses. Aaron Nola's not an ace. He's not. The last 3 September.
He's a 2-2. He's a 2.5.
He's not a 1, and he's not an ace, and I'm sick of hearing it. The last 3 Septembers.
He'd be solid. He'd be solid as a 2 or a 3.
The last 3 Septembers, he's dropped the ball miserably. He has a 4.5 ERA in the last 3 Septembers combined. You're telling me you have a must-win game. You have him handpicked out as your ace to start the game on Sunday. Everybody loses that you need to lose. You need your ace to take care of business, and he can't get out of the fucking 3rd inning against the Tampa Bay Rays? Are you kidding me? Are you serious? That's not an ace, Brad.
You can't blame.
That's not an ace.
You can't blame your manager though. Who else was he going to use?
No, nobody. It's Aaron Nola's fault because he's simply not that good. Sorry if that offends Phillies fans, but he's not. It's the same people that anointed Scott Kingery way too early, who stinks, by the way. I've never seen a guy making $6 million a year who has not. I have a better chance of hitting a big league curveball than Scott Kingery. Scott Kingery blows. And you know who else blows? They all blow. They all blow. The bullpen blows. Kingery blows. Rhys Hoskins, he got hot there for a little while, but I'm not sold on him as a big-time player like he was supposed to be, like he was anointed by Philly fans. Hoskins, Kingery, Aaron Nola, they're all overrated. And you know where they all came from, Brad? The farm system. The Philadelphia Phillies, sorry, pathetic excuse for a farm system. There's Philly Sports Passion 85. Zach Wheeler is our ace. Absolutely. He was head and shoulders above Aaron Nola the entire baseball season. The entire baseball season. He's paid to be an ace. He pitched like an ace. He is the ace.
He's a good pitcher. You know what? That was a guy to get. That was a good move. That was a good move by Klentak getting him. But the thing is,
it was. But you can't keep your job making one good move and 85 shitty moves.
Exactly. The Phillies do need to make some changes in the front office. I think they need to do that. They're going to need to do something about that bullpen. I mean, Usually most teams are able to come up with a couple of guys from the farm that throw hard. They can get guys out. I mean, you look at the Yankee bullpen. I'll give you an example. That's an example. Right now, Jonathan Loaisiga is a guy who they got who's come up through the farm and did well and was pitching good. Dellin Betances, before he signed with the Mets, he came up through the farm system. You got to have one or two guys that come up through the farm system to pitch in the bullpen. I mean, you can't buy an entire bullpen. It's impossible to do that.
Well, they're going to have to.
But they're going to have to buy a couple of guys. They're going to have to find two of the right guys. And again, I don't think Klentak is the guy to do that.
I'm just out on Aaron Nola. I'm sick. I've suspected it for a while that he's not an ace. That I think it was 2 years ago he almost won the Cy Young. I think he finished second to Jacob deGrom in the balloting. That was
He had a tremendous season that year.
But that was a farce. It was a total farce. That's the best he's got. Like, he might pitch 10 years. That's by far the best he's ever gonna do. That's his career year.
Listen, not everybody is like deGrom. I mean, deGrom just every year. I mean, he wins the Cy Young 2 years in a row. This year he was very good. He didn't win the Cy Young, but he was still very good. I mean,
he might win the Cy Young.
Huh?
He might win the Cy Young.
Nah, I don't think he will. Well,
he's in the mix yet again, but Aaron Nola is not an ace. Jacob deGrom is an ace. Max Scherzer's an ace.
Walker Buehler is an ace.
Walker Buehler, Garrett Cole, Lucas Giolito in Chicago.
Yeah.
Those guys are all head and shoulders above Aaron Nola. And I'm sick of hearing Aaron Nola being talked about.
Blake Snell is an ace. You want to name these guys are absolute aces. Verlander is an ace. I mean, those are the guys that are aces right now.
Aaron Nola is not qualified to hold the jockstrap of those pitchers we just mentioned.
Yeah, Bieber.
He's not an ace, Phillies fans. Aaron Nola is not an ace.
He's not like Bieber is an ace.
He's not an ace. I can't rely on this guy to keep you in the game every fifth day. He's too inconsistent, and when you need him the most in September, he's non-existent. I'm sick of hearing the word ace and Aaron Nola being mentioned the same sentence.
The difference is you take a look at a guy like who we have, Cole. Okay, Cole had a little slump in July. He was hearing it, but you know what? In August, when the Yankees were struggling, every fifth day when he went out there, he pitched well and he got them the wins, and they were able to get into the playoffs. Yankees had an awful season, but nothing compared to what the Phillies went through.
So that's my thoughts on Nola and the ace. And obviously Klentak and McPhail, they stink, and the bullpen stinks. But Aaron Nola does not get a free pass because the bullpen stinks. Him not getting out of the third inning on Sunday is flat out unacceptable.
No, that's a disgrace. That should never happen. Not in a big game.
Then you're done. Then you're done. Aaron Nola doesn't get out of the third inning on Sunday, Brad. Then you're going to the bullpen for 6 innings.
And that bullpen, no less.
That's not going to work.
No, and they weren't even that bad yesterday. But the point is, you're going to need another starting pitcher because Arrieta is going to be gone. Not that he was any good anyway, but you need another starting pitcher, and you definitely need to pick up a couple of good relief pitchers that you could put out there. You could always find a closer in the free agent market. There's always one or two out there. Phillies are going to have to grab one of them and run with them.
Philly Sports Passion 85. Great comments by Philly Sports Passion 85 tonight. Nola equals Carson of the Philadelphia Phillies. Overrated. Well,
we're going to get it. We're going to get into that, and that's a perfect.
Let's get into the punt heard around the world, Brad.
Yeah, let's get into the segue of both your team and my team and how.
I want to get because the story to me of the entire NFL yesterday is the tie in Philadelphia. Not only that there was a tie, and I hate that there was a tie.
Well, there was one other story that I kind of enjoyed yesterday. And
Brad, you're in overtime.
7 o'clock, if you recall, Dak Prescott leading the Cowboys down the field, and oh no, it's another interception in the end zone for Dak Prescott. Oh well, better not.
And we're gonna get into this punt now.
Next time.
I'm
But that's the good news. There is no other good news to share with you guys.
and it is fantastic news because the Eagles are 0-2-1, but they're half game out in this awful, horrible decision. And for that reason and that reason alone, I am not surprisingly on the edge of the Walt Whitman Bridge ready to jump off. I'm not.
Yeah, but Rob, that's not a
2-1. What's that?
That is not a playoff team.
Not right now, no.
Not
I
even-
don't see any of the teams. I don't see any of the teams in the playoffs as playoff teams. Someone's got to emerge as the playoffs, and I think the Eagles have as good a chance as any of the four teams to emerge out of the NFC East.
I think it's going to be. I mean, I hate to say it. I think it's going to be the Cowboys. I mean, the one thing the Cowboys can do is put points on the board. It just doesn't seem like any of the other teams in the East can do that.
And that's fine. And that certainly looks like the logical answer on paper through 3 weeks of the season. But why don't you hit me up when Dallas wins a big game in December? Then I'll believe.
Listen, I don't
playoffs.
agree with you, but if the Eagles are going to be 4-8 in December, or 4-7-1 going into December, and the Cowboys are already going to be 7-4, because don't forget the Cowboys get to play some of these crappy teams too that the Eagles have played.
They do.
Yeah, and the Cowboys have been playing the Rams, they played the Falcons, and they played the Seahawks. I mean, 2 out of the 3 teams are really good. Okay, the Eagles really have played one good team this year. The Redskins stink, and the football team stinks.
Yes.
And the Bengals I cannot believe they got a tie at home. And what I can't believe is that last drive, Rob. Are you kidding me? You have the ball first down on the other team on the Bengal 40-yard line, and you're playing for a 55-yard field goal, a 60-yard field goal? What the hell was that?
Well, that's. I mean, look.
What the hell was that? Carson Wentz is good enough to drive the team down the field in the last 2 minutes of the game and get a touchdown to tie up that goddamn football game. And then when you have the ball on the last drive, you're playing for a 55 to 60-yard field goal. Look, I know your kicker's pretty good, and I know he kicked a bomb against us a couple of years ago to win. But you can't play for a 65-yard.
The problem with that, Brad, is this offense is incapable of getting big chunks of yardage.
Well, you know what? Carson was running for some big chunks of yardage yesterday. How about letting him bootleg a couple of times? How about being original and putting your running back in at the slot? If all your receivers can't get off the damn line, put your running back in the slot, Miles Sanders, and throw him the ball. I mean, for crying out loud, that was the most ridiculous group of calls I've ever seen.
Well, Brad, if you go back to the first half,
and you're playing against a shit defense like Cincinnati, I mean, I just can't believe you guys didn't put 30 points on the board against that team.
Carson's not capable of it right now. Now, I am encouraged that Carson Wentz, played his best football of the season down the stretch, tied the game up when the Eagles really needed him to step up and be a franchise quarterback. He led them down the field and tied the game. But that doesn't excuse the three and a half awful quarters he played before that. I mean, to your point about Miles Sanders, they were creative with Miles Sanders. They split him out wide. They got him one-on-one with a linebacker. Miles Sanders did a shimmy shake, got wide open. All Carson Wentz had to do was throw the ball a million feet up in the air, let Miles Sanders run under the football, and it doesn't get any easier than that, scoring a touchdown in the NFL. Carson,
but then where was that play in the overtime? Why aren't they trying to throw the ball down the field? I mean, they're running the ball up the middle for 1-2 yards. If they don't commit the penalty, Rob, and they're stopped, they're playing for a 57-yard field goal. That's not a guarantee.
No, not at all.
Make a 57-yard field goal. That's a 50% field. That's a 50% chance.
Right now, correct me if I'm wrong. There was a penalty that I believe was a holding penalty that backed the Eagles up significantly late in that overtime.
There was, but the whole point was you have to throw the damn ball or throw a screen pass to someone. You got to put the ball in Sanders' hands and make it happen. Running plays up the middle when the Bengals have basically did an excellent job all day up the middle was not the play there. And it just seemed like they got so ridiculously conservative It was almost like Doug decided, you know what? I'm gonna get this 55-yard field goal attempt because this is what I want. And instead of going for it, you gotta get down the field. I mean, you have to get down the field. You can't put your and you know what? Fourth down with 9 seconds to go.
19 seconds left. Yes.
Fourth down with 19 seconds to go, and neither team has a timeout left. You've got to make a play there. Okay, you've got
right. And then Tom, yeah, that's right, because Carson ran for 20 yards and it got called back for holding. That was the game right there.
It was, but what I don't remember how it was like 4th and 7, something like that.
And Tom Arnone checks in. Doug lost his balls during that game. Guess what, Tommy? Doug lost his balls the second he guaranteed a win in Dallas last year, and then took it back the next day. And they lost 38-10 on Sunday Night Football and completely embarrassed themselves against a division rival on a prime game. That's when Doug lost his balls.
I don't think.
I got news for you, Eagles fans. I'm not killing Doug for punting the ball there. I'm really not. I'm really not. And I know that's a weasel. That's not my mentality at all. I'm an aggressive guy. I like to hold my guys accountable, and I like to win. There's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes lighting up the Ravens right now. He is absolutely lighting up the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson has 19 yards passing. But getting back to my point, I don't kill Doug for punting that football there. You have 19 seconds left, and I certainly don't crush him because, look, the second Matt Pryor, it's unfathomable that an offensive lineman can get a false start penalty on a fucking field goal attempt. It's unfathomable. I don't know how that happens. Once that happened, there's probably what, Brad, a 90% chance, 95% chance, even higher than a 95% chance that game's going to end in a tie.
I agree with you.
And I can't kick a 64-yard field goal. I can't.
No, because if the Bengals get one first down, they can try to kick a field goal.
You miss.
You're dead.
Going to come off the clock? What's 6 seconds going to come off the clock on a missed field goal? 5 seconds, something like that?
Yeah, unless it's short and the guy runs it out.
I'm going to get to the comments in a second. But then you missed the field goal, which I don't think Jake Elliott's making a 64-yard field goal. He's a pretty good kicker, but, 64 yards, like, come on.
No, he only does that against the Giants.
Maybe Justin Tucker. Tucker makes that field. Maybe if you have him.
Didn't he kick a 61-yarder against the Giants?
He did.
Okay, so he's got the leg.
So if you want to,
he's got the leg for it. But to play for it,
all got the leg. All these kickers have the leg for it. But is it going to come out right there?
I don't know.
12-14. So let's say 5-6 seconds come off on the missed field goal. So then you got 13 seconds left at just short of midfield
with no timeouts.
You make one play and clock it, then you're giving up. That's
if you make one play.
I cannot fathom to do is kick a 60 play.
If you make one play, okay, you don't have time to clock it unless it gets out of bounds. So really, all the Eagles had to do was guard the sideline. There's no way.
And I hear you, and that's why I say that there's a 99% chance once Matt Pryor commits that bonehead penalty, the game's going to end in a tie. Because guess what? I don't think they're getting 4th and 12 either. But
no.
If you don't get 4th and 12, what's going to happen is either they're not going to throw it as far as the sticks. They're going to have to do some check down thing because the Bengals are going to have the sticks, and then it's going to run. The clock's going to run down. You're probably going to get Bengals probably get the ball back with 8 seconds. 8 seconds.
You could have thrown with 19 seconds to go and no timeouts. You have enough time. It would take 10 to 11 seconds to run a play to do a Hail Mary. Okay, so if it doesn't work, if the Bengals intercept the ball, they're going to have 1st and 10 at the 20 with 8 seconds to go. Okay? If the pass is incomplete, they're going to have the ball with 8 seconds to go at the 50 with no timeouts. What the hell are they going to – then the only thing the Bengals would do is
and it's a tie anyway.
They're gonna throw it. They're gonna try a Hail Mary too, because that's about
and it's a tie, and the game ends in a tie.
Right, but at least you take a shot downfield. See, I don't like that at all. I just think you're home. You got to play to win. That's not you can't.
Eagles wanted to win a freaking game at home. Maybe the franchise quarterback needs to get his head out of his ass with more than 7 minutes to go in the football game. Because guess what? The back interception that Zach Ertz is unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. I see high school quarterbacks make back shoulders throws like that. I see average college quarterbacks make back shoulder throws like that. And I see every quarterback that's rostered in the NFL capable of making a basic back shoulder throw like that. All he has
I'll tell you who made a few of those throws yesterday was Mr. Mullins over in San Francisco. Speaking of
actually, Carson Wentz, how do you throw a pick right to the defender like that on the Zach Ertz pick? All you have to do is throw it to the back shoulder, and 95% of the time, Zach Ertz is going to make the play and catch the football. You gave Zach Ertz no chance to make a play, and you miss Miles Sanders wide open down the sidelines, by a mile, by a country mile. Now, I give Carson for picking himself up by his bootstraps and tying the football game, but the second Matt Pryor committed that penalty, the game's going to be a tie. 95%. 95%. Now, if you want to tell me punting's a punk move, that's fine. I agree with you. I don't like the sentiment of a tie at all because sports are about winners and losers, not participation trophies. So I understand why the fans are upset.
A tie against it's the problem is it's not just a tie; it's a tie against the Bengals. If you got a tie against the Seattle Seahawks or a tie against the Rams, it's a tie against a big time team. Okay, you can live with that. Okay. But the Bengals are a team that you expected to win against at the beginning of the season, okay? You already gave away a game that you never should have lost against the football team, okay? And then you go out and you lay an egg against the Rams, and the Rams are real good. So, I mean, we could
even an acceptable loss. Carson played bad, and it wasn't acceptable. But
we can excuse that. You know what? The Rams almost won in Buffalo, and Buffalo is an elite team. So, we'll excuse that. But Cincinnati, you can't not win against Cincinnati. That's two teams now that you gave away games, and you can be sure that the Dallas Cowboys are not going to lose to the Redskins, the football team, and they are not going to lose to Cincinnati when they play Cincinnati. They're just not going to, Rob. And that's why I just think that the Cowboys right now are done, and the Eagles are done. Unless the Cowboys go and start losing to teams that are ridiculously bad, and I don't think that's going to happen because you know what? They put enough points on the board so that it won't happen. Their defense may not be very good. They're not going to win. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. They're probably not going to win a playoff game. But you know what? They put enough points on the board that they're going to win against bad teams. The Eagles. The problem is when you have no offense, you're susceptible to losing games like that. And that's what's happening to the Eagles.
And we got some comments here. Let's go back to Tom Arno, 19 seconds, fourth down. You're taking 12 to 14 seconds. Come on, Rob. I mean, okay, let's take that comment and look at it. 19 seconds, you go for it on fourth down. Okay. Going for it on fourth down is I can get behind that. I can't get behind kicking it because God forbid it comes out low and they block it and they get a somewhat decent return and they don't even have to run an offensive play to kick the game-winning field goal on you. I can't kick a 64-yard field, so you go for it. You have zero. Hold on. You have zero timeouts, none. So you take a play to get 12 yards. That's 12 to 4. Takes 12 to 14 seconds. That gives you 5 seconds to get up to have the whole offense run 12 yards to get up and spike it. The clock's going to run out, and you're never going to get the field goal off. So you're going to tie anyway.
Okay.
So, what do you want? What do you want? You don't have a timeout. You
I
have
want to
Carson rush, but you have the game won with Carson's 20-yard run that gets called back because of holding, and then I think Jake Elliott buries a 59-yarder, but then Matt Pryor inexplicably false starts. Once Matt Pryor false starts, the game was going to end in a tie.
Yeah.
Now I know that leaves a bad taste in the mouth of fans because it seems like Doug didn't try and punked out, which, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but I don't envision a scenario after that stupid false start that the game doesn't end in a tie. And the reason the game ended in a tie is not because of Doug. It's because your franchise quarterback, this guy who can't seem to figure anything out in terms of this season, was god awful for 3.5 quarters. So, I don't know. Doug decided to punt the ball. He got his tie. He didn't lose. The only team in the NFC East that didn't lose yesterday was the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles are a half game back of the division lead with 14 games to go, 13 games to go, excuse me.
Okay, and next week they're going to go to San Francisco.
That's correct.
They're going to get demolished out there.
I don't know about that. Look, your Giants, with all due respect, I know the Eagles have a lot of problems right now, Brad, but the Giants have significantly more problems. The Giants
are terrible, and you know what? I'm going to call it out like it is. Jones, I've just about seen enough of Jones. Okay, Mr. Turnover every game. I've had it. You know what? If they end up having the worst team in the league this year, then you know what? You draft Lawrence and you say goodbye to Jones. Because I've had
Lawrence is like can't miss. If you have a chance to draft Lawrence and you don't draft Lawrence, you're just asking to get fired.
Well, they could end up. I mean, listen, I don't know how they end up better than 2-14 with that schedule of theirs. I mean, I'm looking at the next game, Rob. Giants' next game is against none other than the Rams. Okay, that has 55-14 written all over it.
It probably won't be good because the Rams are going to be all pissed off because they lost.
Yeah, that has 55-14 written all over it, that game. Okay, you guys going to San Francisco. San Francisco has a very good defense, in spite of the fact that they've got a lot of injuries. They still have enough defensive players.
They are not scoring 36 points on the Philadelphia Eagles defense. As flawed as it is right now, Nate Mullins, which I think it looks like he's going to be the starting quarterback again because of the high ankle sprain of Jimmy Garoppolo. If Mullins is out there, the Niners aren't scoring 36 points on the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, but if they score 20, that's going to be enough because that defense is relentless.
Well, this is where you need Carson to step up against a pretty good defense on the road and win you a game that you're not going to be favored in. There's no doubt about it. The Eagles have done themselves no favors.
Yeah, I just don't see if you can't beat Cincinnati, how in the world are you going to go out and win in San Francisco? I mean,
they got to find a way. They got to find a way.
Yeah, I just don't.
Team in the NFL over the past 3 years.
I'm looking at the games next week. Okay, and I see the Giants at the Rams, which is just a scary, awful thought. The Ravens are going to be playing the Redskins. Okay, and based on the fact that the Ravens are getting their brains beat in right now, they may come back and make it close. But you know what? They're going to be all pissed off, and they're going to just take it out on the football team. Then I'm looking at some of the other games here. The Saints and the Lions. The Saints are going to crush the Lions. Vikings and 10. Seahawks, Dolphins. All right, the Cowboys play the Cleveland Browns in Dallas. That's a game. That's a game that I think the Cowboys will probably win against the Browns.
I don't know. I like what the Browns are doing.
They beat up a pretty good defense.
They're very strong. They're very strong up front with their offensive line, and they have two of the best running backs.
That'll be an interesting test for the Cowboys.
A few comments here. You have to go for it. If not, go for it. Not to punt the ball on 4th and 12 with 19 seconds to go. That's from you get it at the 40. You get it as a 45-yarder. If you miss, they get the ball with 12 seconds left and no timeouts. But Bob, you have no timeouts. You have no timeouts.
Yeah, but if suppose the Eagles try a Hail Mary.
Okay, you want to throw a Hail Mary to try and win the game? Whatever. I mean,
that's what I would have tried to do. That a Hail Mary is going to.
You have to score a touchdown. You understand that?
Huh? Yeah,
you have to score a touchdown on that.
Huh?
You have to score a touchdown.
I realize that, but you know what?
Okay.
I realize that, but you know what? If it's not successful, if it's intercepted, then the Bengals get the ball on the 20-yard line.
And it's a tie anyway. So what are we talking about?
But at least you have a chance to win the game.
The Eagles had plenty of chances to win that game yesterday.
But they didn't take the last final shot. And I think that's what makes fans upset. And,
I get that, but I mean, what about the chance you had with Miles Sanders? What about the back shoulder? 2 more interceptions from Carson.
I agree. Listen, I agree, Rob. But you get to a point where you get so disgusted as a football fan that you can't accept. See, if it was me, I wouldn't have accepted that. If I was an Eagle fan, I wouldn't have accepted that. I would have wanted them to throw the ball in the damn end zone and take a shot. Because the Cincinnati Bengals are still the Cincinnati Bengals. They still stink, and there's a reason why they stink. Okay? And I would have taken the shot. Would have taken probably 12 seconds. So then the Bengals would get the ball back at midfield with 7 seconds to go. What the hell are they going to do with 7 seconds?
Nothing. And the game's going to end in a tie anyway.
Right. They may
end in a tie because
maybe they'll try to do the same thing. Maybe they'll try a Hail Mary. But I mean, the Eagles could have tried a Hail Mary on 3rd down too instead of running these running plays. I mean, it didn't make sense. It's just the play calling on that last drive was so pathetically bad. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I mean, that was chicken football.
But it doesn't help. It doesn't help that you have receivers who can't beat man coverage.
I know, but you know what? You still have to play the game. You still have to go out there and try. You can't just give up like that. I mean, he basically raised the white flag on that last drive and said, you know what? I'm not going to do anything that I'm not going to let my quarterback lose me the game. I'm not going to let him make a mistake and cause them.
How can you say that when the game was won with a 20-yard scramble by Carson Wentz that got called back because of a holding penalty? And by the way, 11 penalties yesterday by the Eagles didn't help anything either. 2 big ones at the end of overtime cost them a chance to win the game.
And Bobby Engels, I got to disagree with you. Okay, that 49er B team is going to roll over the Eagles like a knife through butter. The Eagles are an awful football team right now. Are you watching the games? Are you seeing how bad they are? This is not 2017, okay? This is 2020. This is a team that has shown you absolutely nothing. I mean, the fact that they got a tie against the Bengals, okay, we're not – and you had to have a great drive at the end of the game by Wentz just to get a tie. I mean, come on. That should never happen. I mean, that should not happen. I mean, since I know Burrow is going to be a good quarterback, okay, but right now he's not a great quarterback. He's an okay quarterback, and he's a rookie quarterback, okay? And you know what? You have Slay, and you basically kept A.J. Green pretty much under control for most of that game. Slay did a great job.
Darius Slay's been terrific.
Yes, he has. But you know what? The rest of the defense has not been good. And the fact that
no, but they did have the defensive line finally flexed their muscles yesterday.
They got a lot of sacks.
They got 6.5 sacks.
Yep.
And Jalen Mills is playing really well in his transition to safety. I'm encouraged by the defensive line moving forward, and I'm encouraged that Carson Wentz played his best football when we needed him the most.
But the problem is, Rob, you're not scoring enough points. And when you go on the road in San Francisco, you're going to have to score points. And the one thing the 49ers do that makes it very tough to beat them is even with the B team, okay, they run the football. They run it and they run it and they run it. And even when they're not successful, they stick with it. And you know what? Eventually, they wear you down. And by the middle of the third quarter yesterday, the Giants' defense was gassed. I mean, they were doing the Giants stayed in the game. It was 16-9. And then it just seemed like the defense ran out of gas because the 49ers just kept plowing the ball in there and plowing the ball in there. And you know what? They couldn't get to Mullins yesterday. He ended up having all day to throw, and that was it.
With all due respect to the Eagles, I know it looks glim right now, but the Eagles are not going to get bullied by the Niners B team like the Giants did. I'm not going to sit here and guarantee a win like I did against the Rams.
The Giants are a terrible football team right now, but the Eagles are not good either. That's the whole problem. They're not good. Rob, you have to be honest and look at it and start looking at it honestly. Okay.
I didn't. I am looking at it honestly.
Did you watch the Cowboys and Seahawks yesterday?
I did.
Okay. Are you going to tell me after watching the Eagles and then watching the Cowboys that the Eagles are a better team than the Cowboys?
Not right now, no. But I've seen this in September and October before between the Eagles and the Cowboys. And the Eagles always seem to get it together as the season goes on, and Dallas seems to fold. Until that doesn't happen, I'm going to assume Dallas is going to fold. Sorry. This division is not unattainable for this Philadelphia Eagles football team right now. I'm not jumping off the wall 2-1 when they're a half game out of the division. I'm not ready to do that yet. No.
But the problem is the Cowboys are probably not going to lose to the Redskins, and they're probably not going to lose to the Bengals.
Look, are the Eagles representing themselves as a good football team right now? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I haven't said anything to the contrary. The only thing I just don't think you can realistically tell me that they're going to go into San Francisco and beat the 49ers. I just don't see that. I don't think it's this impossible task to go in there and win. Like
it's not impossible.
Your Giants fucking blow.
I mean, listen. For the Giants to go into LA and beat the Rams, that's impossible. They're going to get beaten up so badly it's going to be scary to watch the game. Okay, but as far as the Eagles going in to play the 49ers, I don't see that being a very close game. I think the 49ers are going to handle them pretty easily. I could see like a 27-10 game, something like that. I mean, I don't see it. I think that the 49ers are going to do what they do, and that's run the football, tire out the other team's defense.
That's perfect because through 3 games, you know who has the number 1 run defense in the entire league?
The Eagles.
Correct.
And what's their record?
Okay, that's fine. That's through 3.
And the 49ers still are finding ways to score. That guy Mullins yesterday looked pretty darn good. I mean, I know it was the Giants' defense, but you know what? He went back there and he was making some nice throws yesterday. So I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, it's not like Garoppolo when they lose Garoppolo. It's not like they're losing Mahomes. They're losing an average quarterback and sticking another average quarterback in there. So it's not like they lose all that much with Jimmy G out and Mullins in. Mullins was really good yesterday. So I would just be careful about that. And the 49ers defense, they showed me a lot. That defense is tough.
We'll see. We'll certainly be tuned in. Now, the Eagles didn't lose the game yesterday, but make no mistakes about it. A loss or a tie is unacceptable next week. This is a 10,000% must-win game for the Philadelphia Eagles next week. It
is because their
schedule, just for the psyche of your fans, your quarterback,
their schedule doesn't get any easier, Rob. It gets harder, and now we're getting towards the end. I think you want to hit the leans, correct?
Yeah. One comment
before we leave.
Bobby Eagles. One comment. We have Eagles have shit receivers. A coach that lives through Carson and wants to sling the football down the field is why we don't put up points. If we would have kept the run going, I think this game would have been over the third quarter. Yeah, and I think that's a little bit of a phony narrative because Doug ran the ball 36 times as opposed to 47 passes yesterday. That's a fine ratio. Maybe if Carson didn't turn the ball over so much, it would have been much closer to 50-50.
That's the whole point right there. I mean, those turnovers, you can't keep turning the ball over. And if you start turning the ball over against the 49ers, against that,
it's done.
They're going to kill you.
Yeah.
So,
Frank, can you put that comment back up? The receivers do stink. They can't get off man coverage. That was abundantly obvious in the first half. Greg Ward had a pretty big second half. He opened things up for himself and Zach Ertz, which is one of the reasons they were able to tie the game on the last drive. But Bobby Eagles, I'm not sure what you're watching. The Eagles didn't really take any shots down the field yesterday. They didn't really take any shots down the field against the Rams. They took every shot they took was down the field against the Washington football team. And I think that's still burns in your mind. But I don't have a huge problem with Doug's play calling through 3 games. I really don't. And I know Doug is public enemy number 1 because he played for the tie and played not to lose. But I haven't had a huge problem with Doug's play call. I think he's running the ball enough. I think that Carson is just killing this offense with his turnovers. Let's get to the leans. Brad, does anything stick out to you? I know you had a couple games last week that stuck out to you as interesting.
Well, you got the Steelers at the Titans. That's going to be
those 2 teams. They're not in the same division, but they hate each other.
Yeah, that's going to be a real interesting game. I kind of like to see the Browns and the Cowboys. I think that's going to be a fun game to watch. Colts and the Bears.
I think the Browns go in there and win.
Not impossible. Not impossible.
4.5 point. I'll sprinkle. I'll do a money line sprinkle on that. Take them plus 4.5.
I'll tell you what. There are some really good games this week. You've got the Patriots at the Chiefs, which should be a very interesting football game. You got Buffalo going to the West Coast to play the Raiders. It's always a little tougher when the East teams have to go out West.
I like an upset. I like a little bit of an upset there, Brad.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I mean the Bills are riding high, 3-0, coming across the country.
Yep.
I don't think the Raiders are tragic.
The Raiders aren't that bad, and at home, I could see the upset, especially after the Bills had that big win over the Rams. I could see a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah, a little letdown. I mean, that's
going to be an interesting game.
Detroit.
The game of the week, obviously, is going to be the Patriots and the Chiefs. Patriots
425.
Patriots have looked very good.
I think the party's they get a big win against the Raiders. I don't think that they have the horses to stick with the Chiefs this season.
Who, the Patriots?
Correct.
I think they'll give them. I think they're going to give them a good fight, though. And of course, there's a couple other games who I think this is going to be a very interesting one. Your buddy Nick Foles and the Chicago Bears are undefeated and have a home game against the Colts, who just destroyed the Jets.
Now, I'm looking at this line right now, Brad. How in the world are the Chicago Bears, who are 3-0, mind you, how in the world are they home dogs to a stinky team like the Colts?
Because the Colts destroyed the Jets.
Great. Cool.
You asked, I'm just giving you.
I know.
I'm giving you my opinion, but personally,
are good.
I think that the Chicago Bears will use their physicality, and Nick Foles is going to pick that team apart. And I think I would not be surprised to see the Bears, who are a much better team than people are giving them credit for, come out with a victory flat out in that game against the Colts.
I love the Bears at home. I love the Bears at Nick Foles aside, I mean, I like Nick Foles. I don't think he's the greatest quarterback.
No, but he's not going to give the game away.
I think the writing was on the wall there with old Money Mitch. I think it was only a matter of time before Nick Foles.
Well, he had those 2 interceptions in the second half against the Giants, and then he started stinking it up yesterday, and Foles went and bailed him out. So that's kind of what's going on now. Now they get to play. Now they play the Colts, and they're playing in Chicago, and I love Chicago winning that game.
Prism 280 Raiders playing good football this year so far. Smash mouth football. Yeah,
I can see them beating the Bills. I can see that.
I do like that upset.
What's the line on that game?
Got to be. I mean, the Bills got to be favored, right? You would think.
You would think so. I would think it'd be like the Raiders.
The Bills are favored by 3.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say my guess would be around 2.5, 3.
And
I would say
you got some real duds out there this week. I mean, Baltimore playing the Washington football team.
Yeah. How about this one, Rob? The Jaguars and the Bengals. With no fans in the stands.
I guess I like the Bengals there. New Orleans and Detroit. I mean,
that's going to be a high-scoring game.
Seattle and Miami, like that's a dud. The Giants and the Rams, that's a dud.
Yeah, that's going to be a horrible game.
Minnesota and Houston, that's a dud.
The Cardinals are going to rack up the Panthers, even though they're playing in Carolina.
Cardinals looked human yesterday.
Yes, they did.
Kyler Murray did not have a good game. Matt Patricia did a fantastic job bottling him up, and rookie Jeff Okuda, I thought, did a very admirable job on DeAndre Hopkins in the portions of the game that I saw.
So, I was watching a little bit of that game myself. What I was very surprised at was how well the Lions' offensive line was playing and how much time Matthew Stafford was getting to throw the ball yesterday.
If you're going to give Stafford time, he's going to cook you.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, Stafford is a good quarterback. You and I both have always liked him.
Yeah, I have always liked Matthew Stafford.
If you give him some weapons and you give him some time, he's going to hurt you. He has a very strong arm and he's very accurate. The problem with the Lions is that everything that can go wrong with the Lions always seems to go wrong.
And then we got a dud Thursday game again. We got the Broncos and the Jets.
Boy, I'll tell you what, if the Jets can't beat the Broncos on Thursday night, I wonder how many games they're going to win.
But can we stop with the Thursday games?
The Jets look terrible. Sucks. I mean, between the Giants, the Jets, and the Eagles, Rob, 0-8-1. I mean, that's hard to believe.
It hasn't been good.
Yeah, I mean,
good football here in the Northeast Quarter in terms of New York, Philadelphia.
No, none of us have anything to brag about right now. Hopefully there'll be something to brag about. I mean,
Jonathan Nelson here in the comments, he hits it right on the head. Matthew Stafford, his career was wasted in Detroit because they just don't know what they're doing.
No, they never give him any talent, and it's kind of a shame. I mean, he makes a hell of a lot of money, so I mean, he's obviously getting paid pretty well. But I mean, for a guy who's got as much talent as him, it's kind of a shame. By the way, just to update the hockey game, Coleman scored for the Lightning, and it's now 2-0 Lightning after 2.
So they're wrapping things up tonight. They're going to get.
Yes, as I said. It is the moral obligation of whoever controls the cheering and the crowd that if that Stanley Cup comes out tonight and Gary Bettman gets out there needs to be booze. If you don't put the booze out there, then shame on you. I
hear you. All right, well, thank you to Greg Pryor, 1985 World Series champions. Check out his book, Day the Yankees Made Me Shave.com. lifepriority.com with all his supplements that he plugged. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Ambuck Services. Thank you to Specialized Physical Therapy. Thank you to Philly Drinkers. our merchandise store, phillydrinkers.com, A2D Radio Collection, all new fall line out. Thank you to everyone who has liked, subscribed, shared, commented, this, that, and the other on everything, not just the Sports Hounds, but everything A2D.
And thanks for watching.
Have a good week, everybody.